Hi, and in this episode of 177 Nations of Tasmania, I'm in Launceston in northern Tasmania, and I'm talking to Jaewon from South Korea. Now, South Korea is, of course, a crowded, densely populated country in northern Asia with a vastly different culture and mentality to what we have in Australia. Now, Jaewon originally came as a student to Melbourne and ended up meeting her future husband, which changed the course of her life. So we're going to find out a little bit more about that story and about what it's been like settling down in Launceston, where she now has a small business selling Korean pancakes at local markets. What brought you to Tasmania in the first place?
I got married to Australian guy, and we were in Korea, had 2 kids, and so we thought it's time to come back to Australia. So he was looking for a job, and he got the job at the University of Tasmania in Launceston. So when he said he got a job in Launceston, and I was like, where is it? I had no idea where Launceston was, and I heard about Tasmania, but not so much about Launceston at all. So that's why we moved to Launceston.
So did he have any connection with Launceston?
No, not at all.
So it's just the job?
Yes, just a job. So no families, no friends, nobody.
Well, how did you meet in the first place?
My husband?
Yeah.
Well, I went to the Melbourne University Private Language Centre. And he was working at the university, and I met him at the university library. And I thought, oh my goodness, I like him. And I chased him ever since. I'm still chasing him, I think.
Yeah, right. When you say chasing, what do you mean? Literally chasing him, or just taking an interest?
Both. Yes. Yeah, so I thought, he's a nice guy, So I went to visit his office pretty much every day after my class.
Okay.
And yeah.
And what was he doing? Was he working at the university?
He was an international marketing manager
at
the Melbourne University.
So you'd come just to study in Australia? That was your initial...
studying English mainly. And my plan was get the IELTS score, and then I could apply for exchange student in Australia.
Okay.
So that was my initial plan, but it didn't work out at the end anyway. The university in Australia and my university in Korea, they decided to have a break with the year that I was going to apply for the exchange student. So I wasn't meant to come back. But anyway, I did.
Yeah.
With the working holiday visa to see my man, pretty much. And then the funny thing was, when I was coming back, he said, he got a job now in Oman, in the Middle East. So I said, okay, I'm coming too. So we went to Muscat in Oman together, and luckily I got a job as a flight attendant. So I was based in Bahrain for about a year, and so we had a lot of adventures together, and I got to see the world with my job, and it was really good.
What had prompted you to come to Australia in the first place?
The first thing was, I wanted to improve my English, and my agency in Korea, they said, Australia is the last paradise left in the earth. So, and then first time, I didn't really like it, to be honest, because I couldn't really communicate, and I missed my family, and it was my first trip away from my family and friends.
Yeah. I
was only 21. So I thought that the agency was such a big liars. That's what I thought, you know. But anyway, I was there for about 10 months, and I started, liking it.
What are some of the bigger cultural differences that you've noticed between Korea and here?
Maybe the school, because I know I grew up in Korea, educated in Korea, but seeing my kids being taught in, Australian school, it's a massive difference, and I'm so happy that they are here, not in Korea, I have to say.
Because I was going to ask you about a bit about the Korean school system. because I heard quite a lot about it. Maybe you could just tell us a bit about what was your experience of school, Korea?
I felt like they were trying to put everyone in the same box. So they gave everybody the same thing, and you got to just memorize it, and not much coming out from our brain, or no creativities in one way education. Whereas here is more interacting and encouraging kids to be involved in learning and things like that. So I think it's a massive difference.
And from what I understand, the school hours in Korea are quite long
It's
as well.
ridiculous. Yeah. So we get to school about 7:30 and finish it at 10 o'clock when we were in high school. Not in primary school. But in the primary school, let's say you finish school at 1 or 2, but you've got like a private lessons waiting for you.
Yeah.
And actually you get home like 7 for dinner.
And I believe that from talking to Koreans I've met, that even after 10 o'clock, there's sometimes students go to the cram school or the library.
Yeah. So,
So sometimes it ends at midnight.
Midnight or 1, 2.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I thought it's crazy.
Of course, you do things in between. You're not constantly studying. There's no way that you can do that, right? But, that's the culture of the education when you are in high school in Korea.
So you wouldn't want that for your own kids?
No way. I was amazed that, here, everybody from kindergarten till grade 12, they start at 9 and finish at 3. It starts at 9 and finishes at 3 all year round. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Poor kindergarten kids, I thought. Same hours as grade 12 kids.
And so do you see the difference in your kids from going through the education system here compared to your own experience?
I think they're happier. They're happier, and as a parent, we are, my husband and I are trying to spend as much as time we could with the kids. Whereas my parents were busy working and making sure we've got enough money to eat. I grew up in Seoul, capital of Korea, and I remember there was a lot of cars around when I am in the playground. A lot of cars, a lot of people walking past, and a lot of kids, and the pollution, and I can still smell the air, the cars, and I quite like it though. So when I go to the petrol station, or when I can smell the fuel, it reminds me of my childhood.
Really?
And I quite like it.
Okay.
I know it sounds crazy, but yeah. I have one sister and one brother, and my mom and dad, so 5 of us. And when we were growing up, we were living in I don't know how to say in size-wise, maybe as big as this area, 5 of us, like one kitchen.
Okay.
What would you say?
Pretty small.
Pretty small, compact.
Yep.
And first time I slept on the bed was when I turned 13.
Yeah.
Before I was sleeping on the floor with this.
Oh, like
thick,
a kind of futon.
Futon, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And in Korea, is it like some other Asian countries where the extended family is also important and part of your life?
Yes. So my father is from big family. So my grandma and grandpa had 10 kids, but 4 died. So 6 of them left. But so when there was the 2 big holidays in Korea, one is Lunar New Year and the Thanksgiving festival, I call, in autumn. And so every time we always drove to my grandpa's house, and everyone was there, So I had a lot of cousins, and we had a really good time together. Lots of food and lots of games, and Yeah.
So you were brought up in a really kind of busy sort of city
Yes.
environment.
Yes.
And so did you enjoy school in the city?
I have a good memory when I was in primary school. Yeah, and a lot of playing, and because in Korea, everybody lives in the apartment. So we've got a lot of friends from level 1 till level 5. So
Okay.
after school, everybody come out and we hang out at the playground, and we play until, our moms call out for dinner's ready. So I have a good memories. In the apartment blocks, there are always 1 or 2 playgrounds with kids, and we rode a lot of bicycles and scooters and chases, but it's amazing because there's no rules. There's a lot of cars and a lot of kids running around, but no one got hurt, So when I think that we are overprotective for our own kids, we were fine when we were growing up with cars everywhere and all that, but here, So that's why because I grew up in a, busy and, in late 80s and early 90s, Korea is a lot of factories and a lot of constructions going on. So when I hear like a lawnmower on Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, the first thing I can think of is the construction site.
Okay.
For me. So I asked the same question to my husband, and for him it's like a lawnmower. But for me it's a construction site. Someone is building something.
So what about, you said you had good memories of primary school, but what about high school?
Just too much study. Yes, too much pressure. Exams every day, private tutoring after school. And
did you have any sort of plan or idea what you wanted to do in the future when you were at school?
Not really, So when you were in high school in Korea, the only thing the parents and teacher care about is going to university. It's not what you want to study. It's what university you're going to go, which is really sad. But when I was in primary school, I wanted to be an artist, painter. And I think I have become one.
Oh, really?
So all the paintings you see in my house is all done by me, and I've got a little studio downstairs that I paint.
So you're kind of living your dream, your childhood dream.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Half.
Well, that's it gives you something more to aim for, I guess.
Yeah. I'm loving it. I love painting.
Yeah. And were you doing that already in Korea, or is that something?
No. I started a little bit when my first son was born, but I've got space here now because when we were in Korea, we were living in a small apartment, so I didn't really have a space to have a big canvas and paint everywhere. But now I have my own space, so I can be creative.
Great. So that's a possibility that sort of come from moving.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
In Korea, isn't there's quite a more a sense of hierarchy and in the way you speak to people, you have to show respect to people who are more senior.
Yes.
Senior in your
So the Korean language, so there is 2 ways. One is speak to your friends, and the other one is to speak to someone who is older. And so different ending and different words.
Okay.
So I think it's a bit tricky to learn in that regard. But in Korean language, it's really easy to learn how to read. But once you can read, but you got to learn how to speak to different ways.
Yeah.
In polite and not so polite way.
Yeah, because in a lot of languages that exists.
Yes.
In European languages, you have the polite way to say you and the more informal.
Yes.
But of course, in English, we don't have that.
I know, so good.
Not anymore, anyway.
Yes.
Maybe hundreds of years ago.
Oh, I like the way it is now.
Yeah.
It's free. We are equal, and we are equal, but we respect.
Yeah.
You don't have to use different language to show that you respect me or I respect you. I think that's good.
Yeah. So in Korea, is it's just a given expectation if the person is whatever you think of them, if they're senior to you, you have to use these certain terms.
Yes. And even if I met you today for the first time, I will use the polite language. But if I see you a few times, we kind of make agreement. Now I'm going to informal.
Okay.
To you. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Generally, do you think that in general social relationships in Korea, people are more formal than here?
I think so in some ways. But here, I think people are more open to talk to each other because it's more equal in terms of I think people are more open to talk to anybody.
Yep.
Yes. Whereas in Korea, because there's a little bit of the wall between them before you start the conversation, and the wall slowly, disappears. But here there's no wall to begin with.
And so when you came to Launceston years later, what were your first impressions of Launceston?
I didn't really have any idea about Launceston, but I said to my husband, we can give it a try, and if we really don't like it, we can always move. And we had 1 and 4-year-old boys with us, so it was like a big challenge or big move for us as a family. But anyway, when I came, I really liked it, and 6 months in, I said, okay, let's buy a house. This is our home. We've been happy ever since.
What did you like about it that made you want to settle down and stay?
So the eldest son started kinder here in Launceston, and the people who we met through school, and generally people you see at supermarkets or on the street, they're so nice and laid back, and the scenery and the landscape of Tasmania was amazing. And you don't have to drive too far to see different things, not like, in Melbourne or in mainland, you got to drive 3 hours to see.
So where were you before you came to Launceston?
We were in Korea.
Korea, okay.
So when we were in the Middle East, so I worked there for about a year, and I wanted to become a young mom. So I said, let's have a baby. So we went to Korea. We got married there. So we had a baby in Korea. And my mom was just around the corner. It was really handy to have a help. So I said, if we're going to have another one, let's have it here. So that's why the second one came along. So we ended up staying there for 4.5 years. And it was good time for my husband to get to know about Korea and meet my families and friends and the culture of Korea. And it was a good time.
And was he able to adjust to the culture easily?
He blended in really well. But he didn't really like his job, I have to say. He taught at the university, and teaching is not really his thing, he said. He struggled a little bit, but he did a little bit of acting. So he had some new experience that you can't really have in here.
Yeah.
So he took advantage of being a foreigner in Korea. So he has a kind of broad understanding of different culture. So the culture-wise, it was no problem at all. But he doesn't know how to speak Korean, so I think that kind of helped too. He doesn't really know what's happening around him, so he's always happy, And he and my mom has got the best relationship because they don't talk much. Well, I interpret in between them, and I sometimes filter.
Okay. So do you have to be a little diplomatic sometimes?
Well, sometimes, but generally, there's a love in the air always between them.
What have been some of the biggest challenges of sort of settling down in Tasmania?
Well, we've been very lucky to be around with good friends, and I have to really say our kids have been an amazing bridge for us to have a nice social life, So I really thank them to be good boys at school, and so that we got invited to different parties and we got invited to different shacks, in Tasmania. And so I don't really have a lot of struggle or challenge living in Tasmania at all. And speaking English, it keeps me, it's interesting that speaking English kind of gives me the freedom to express myself, because it's like it's a new language for me to say what I want to say, the things that I wouldn't be able to say in Korean. I sometimes get the look from the people here. For example, if I walk into the shop and if the shopkeeper doesn't really have any experience with the Asians, when I walk in, they already give me the look that, is she gonna speak English, or am I going to understand her? They kind of look.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes, and that makes me nervous as well, and so my English go really bad. You know what I mean?
But then when you talk to them, do you get the same impression?
And then the more we talk, I can see they getting more relaxed, because now they know they can talk to me. So yeah, but they always have they presume a little bit. Which I understand too.
So your husband came for a job in Launceston?
Yes.
But what did you do to begin with?
Even though we really liked Tasmania in Launceston, but I struggled a little bit because I didn't have anybody. Because as I said, my mom was just around the corner from where we are in Korea, so it was really easy and for me to work and all that. But because I didn't have anybody here, so first 6 months I had to adjust my life a little bit, being a full-time mom with 2 kids without any help. And then my friend and I went to the market, Avondale Market, and we saw this Sudanese guy selling Sudanese donuts. And I thought, if that worked, then the Korean pancake would work.
Yeah.
So my friend and I, we invested the business together. We created a little bit of different recipe for Australians. And so we started the market to sell the Korean pancakes, which was now 5 years ago. And I can't stop it now. Yes.
Yeah. And did you have much experience cooking Korean pancakes before?
Never.
Oh, really?
Yes, because it's a very popular street food.
Yep.
So I ate a lot. Whenever I saw it, just grab one and walking and eating at the same time, and I really like it. I really liked it, but I didn't have to make it because it was everywhere. But we practiced how to make it, because it's not easy. Well, it is easy, but you need to practice to be more efficient to make it, and all that sort of stuff.
And I guess to be consistent as well.
Yeah, consistent. Yes. So when you make the fillings, you gotta put the exact ingredients and that sort of stuff. But I got it now.
Yeah. Yeah. So where did you start doing it?
At Avondale Market.
At Avondale, okay. And what was the reaction at the beginning? How did you? Was it easy to convince people to try them?
Well, it was easy. It wasn't easy to have a lot of people come to try it, because a lot of people, I found a lot of Tasmanians they're not willing to try different food. But slowly, we got So we had a little samples for them to try, but once they tried, they really liked it, you know. So I remember very first market, we sold about maybe 20 or 30 pancakes, and we were super excited. Oh my God, this works, you know. Yes. And then we got into Harvest Market, and then we do different events and become really popular now.
So you're finding that people are now becoming more familiar with Korean cuisine?
Yes. And they want more. Every time they come to my stall, they said they want to try different menu. So they ask me if I'm going to open in a restaurant or something. But I said no.
So just sticking to the markets for now.
Yes. I'm specialized in pancakes. I think getting started is the most difficult part in anything, I think.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of support from husbands, and you know, we are willing to make it work. And we've been, for example, we've been at the Harvest Market every Saturday for the last 5 years. So we've been very consistent to be there. So I think that's how we grew up. Have a nice customer base, and people know we'll be there, so they come and they enjoy our pancakes, and they come back, bring friends, and you know, things like that.
So when you come to a new place, finding friends, making social connections can be really difficult, especially a smallish place like Launceston. What other things have helped you get to know people?
I'll say I'm a very outgoing person. So if there's anything on, I like to be there.
Okay.
And meet new people, and I'm interested in what they are doing, and I'm not shy to approach them and hang out with them, you know. So I think that helps me to build a good social network.
Sometimes I know new migrants, they don't know what to talk about with locals, for example. Do you think there's anything that an advice you could give that might help?
Well, you need to prepare a little bit too. You know, if you're not a natural talker, then you might want to think before you leave the house. You know, if I see someone today, I might ask this question, and you will start the conversation. Don't be shy.
And do you find that conversation here is different to Korea or similar?
Very different, you know. You can't really, I mean, it's a cultural thing, you know. People in Korea, you know, I think that's why I like speaking English. That gives me a power to express feelings, because in Korean culture, with Korean, we don't really know how to talk about what you're really going through.
Okay.
But with the English, I found I can talk more things with freedom. And I think the people who listen to me speaking English, and they also speak English, and they grew up in that environment, they are ready to listen to. So I think that helps me I feel more comfortable to, you know, talk about my feelings.
So do you mean that in speaking Korean, in Korean society, you don't, it's harder to express your emotions?
Yes. I found, you know, English is like my new tool, my new weapon. And so when I speak to my kids, you know, if I want to give them some advice or what I really think, I speak to them in English, and they look at me like, why are you speaking English? Because I generally, you know, speak to them in Korean. So they say when mommy speaks English, she becomes wise.
Okay.
So I think they can tell the difference as well.